Welcome to the Moms I Know with Sheila Walsh-Dunton and Maria Anderson-Farner. Two moms on a mission to reclaim childhood and take you from surviving to thriving on your parenting journey.
The season of festivities and wonder is waiting for you to unwrap joy and gaiety.
So today, Maria and I thought we would get on and talk to you about the wonder of the season, this holiday season. And right now we're in it, and we just want to give you some ideas of some things, your kids might be off school in the next couple of days. And so what are you going to be doing?
We've been celebrating pretty much since Thanksgiving already, and it's just been such an incredible time. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were asking how I'm liking it in Montana in the winter. It's been pretty cold and snowy, and I said, well, basically, it's like every picture postcard that I ever saw as a child and enjoyed and was so excited about, seeing all the snow on the ground and the little lights and everything. And so for me, it's kind of a dream come true to be here and to be celebrating all of this. So I'm really excited to be here with you and excited to be sharing this with people. This season, I think for me, regardless of how challenging it can be, it's really an opportunity for us to just dig deep and reflect on that. That quote for me brings up, how do we look at this for the children? And no matter what we're going through, we need to have that lens of looking at things through the child's eyes. We were talking about that just a little bit before we started recording, and this idea of always reflecting on things through our children's perspectives is so important. And so on our podcast, The Moms I Know, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about really coming from a place of intention, trying to bring things to our children in ways that are joyful. And I have to be honest, sometimes we have to dig deep. And this isn't an easy time for everybody, but for me, it's a time to really look within and look at my family and also kind of look ahead and say, what is it that I want for them? And so let's just dive in and share some of the things that we've done as families to bring a little sense of wonder and joy to our family.
It's funny, Maria, you're like living a snow globe. When you said that with every postcard, I immediately thought of a snow globe.
The neighbors actually said that when we found out how much snow comes in this little valley. They said, you're living in a snow globe. And my husband looks out the window in the morning and says, I feel like we're living in an advent calendar. Yeah. And, here a lot of people are celebrating Christmas. And so we just want to be respectful of, whatever your family values are, whatever celebrations that you're honoring at this time of year, you can look at them and come from a place of how do we deepen our family connection? How do we work on this, idea of family culture that we've talked so much about?
So just kind of going on that, Maria, I wanted to say, when my kids were little, we celebrated Christmas. I grew up with Christmas. And for me, growing up Christmas, I went to Catholic school. So it was the Advent calendar, the Advent wreath. It was really like going, being a part of the church and doing that. So I know that's a big part for people. But as I started to have my own family and became more interested, I was a geography teacher, and it was a great class of cultural geography. But because of that, I think in that background, it's like when I homeschooled my children, I brought in other cultures, like other celebrations around this time of year. And so we were talking about Kwanzaa, we were talking about Solstice, we were talking about Santa Lucia Day, like all these kind of traditions that around the world. And how did we do that? We went to the library and we bought books, and we got books, and then we bought books as well, and really tried to go through it and maybe do a few things that culture did. It was really heavy in arts and crafts. In the Mexican tradition, there's the posada, la posada and everything. And so learning about those things really added a richness, a layer of just understanding and cultural awareness that we really enjoyed. I have to say that one of my favorite, though, books on tape was called The History of Santa Claus. And it's read by Jeff Ginn. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I know that story, yes.
And it was, I think, like a 12-hour book on, CD. And that's what I would recommend. I wouldn't recommend reading this because it is I think it would take longer than the month of December, but it's a great one that you're cooking in the kitchen or you're doing something and the kids can be there listening and working on their handmade gifts or something like that. But it's the history of Santa Claus. And why I loved it so much, coming again from like a history teacher, was that it was the history of the world with Santa, St. Nicholas throughout the world, what is known in different cultures, you know. So that was specifically like a Christian holiday, but it was a really, really interesting story, and one that I got a lot out of, and my kids seem to enjoy.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, because my daughter just shared with me something recently, and we've had this conversation about, you know, when you talk to your children about these holidays, and she shared a phrase with me, and she said one of the things that she now can say is, legend says that. And so however we look at these stories, these legends, you know, our children are seeing lots of different things around us. In my own family background, there's a Swedish background. There's also a Mediterranean background. So we've got the Scandinavian influence, the Mediterranean influence, both Christian influences, but extended family. We also have celebrations of Hanukkah, and then we've incorporated some of the Hispanic traditions as well. And so it's been really fun to blend all of these things. And so, you know, and then of course the children went to Waldorf school at a certain point, and they study basically the 9 main religions of the world. So there's lots of different celebrations that come in. And so again, like you said, in our family, when the children would hear about different things, we would dive deeper and say, you know, in this culture, or legend says, or, you know, this is a belief here. And so it wasn't always me saying, this is what is, it was, this is what can be. And so, you know, that legend of Santa Claus also, what is the spirit of the season? And so I think every celebration has that spirit of the season. And in the Northern Hemisphere, the days are still getting shorter. So we're coming up to that, you know, that shortest day, the longest night. And so we also celebrated this, you know, kind of the marking of time. And so however you look at this, it is that marking of time towards whether it's Christmas or solstice or Hanukkah or, you know, Kwanzaa, any of the festivals of light. It's this passage of time for our children. So the Advent wreath, every week you're coming closer. The Advent spiral at solstice, you know, you're moving within. And so they mark the passage of time for the children. And so there is magic. So really exciting to share those kinds of things with our children, to honor this time of year. And also this, so many of the festivities, it's bringing in of nature. So think about all the greenery. So whether it's a tree or it's lighting of the candles, it's honoring the evergreen, it's honoring fire and earth. And so it's really lovely to look at those from that perspective.
Mm-hmm. And I think that ties into a lot of our arts and crafts. You know, you're making beeswax candles, you are making evergreen wreaths. You know, we usually buy a wreath form and then go for a walk in the neighborhood, and or go from, you know, branches from our Christmas tree that have been cut off. You know, so it's really like you can really create your own magic. And I think when we put it in our children's hands, they are really able to do make beauty with it. And I think that's such a great thing to do. Can you explain a little bit about the solstice circle, the spiral? Because I think the solstice spiral is such a beautiful tradition that I know your family does.
So within the Waldorf School, they would do an Advent spiral every year, but also at our home now, we've just done these. And just recently, a friend and I were walking up in a meadow, and there was just a huge expanse of snow. And so we actually walked a snow spiral, and that was really beautiful. I mean, it's meditative, it's an inward kind of a focus. But for the children, we do what's called an evergreen spiral. And so just with, you know, boughs of evergreen plants, we would make a spiral on the floor. And then there's a song that can be sung. There's different songs that can be sung. So, you know, each family can create what works for them. And the children would start at the outside and have a lit candle. And we would do it in an apple. And then they would quietly, with reverence, walk through the spiral, and in the center, pause, reflect. And so, you know, some people would say you can kind of think about what you want to let go of the year past, and then what you want to bring for the year that's coming as you walk the spiral out. And then the children can place their candle at any spot in the spiral, and then as they walk out. And it's just a beautiful, it just really evokes this sense of wonder and awe. of the season. And so it's one that we would do outside on our patio at our home. We've done it years when it was raining. And so we'd do it on the covered porch, or we'd do it out in a big space. And sometimes there would be a room where we would set it up. And so it's a lovely tradition.
Did you say the kids' light candles would be in an apple?
Yeah.
Oh, how cool. I love that. I don't think I've ever done that. That's a neat.
Yeah. So it's a little candle holder, the apple. Right. And so, so many of these things also, you talked about handmade gifts. We're big on handmade gifts. We're really talking a lot about trying not to be into the whole commercial aspect of things. And so handmade gifts, simple gifts, we've really scaled back. I love some of the beautiful, there's a lot of beautiful handmade wooden toys. Again, simple is best. We want to really heighten the children's imagination, so open-ended types of things. But when you make things as a family, so whether you're making ornaments for a tree, or whether you're making candle holders for the candles, or you're making the beeswax candles, or you're making gingerbread houses, it's been fun to see. Here, there's the gingerbread is a big thing. And so there was a whole gingerbread contest. And so my grandson and I went, and it was so much fun to see all the different gingerbread houses. There was the Christmas tree lighting. There was the Festival of Lights downtown, when all the lights that are decorating downtown came on. Lots of fire pits everywhere so that people could be warming at the fire pits. And so just this idea of coming together in community and really celebrating that season. There are a lot of wonderful quotes about giving the gift of presents, the gift of time. And so, I don't remember very many Christmas presents that I ever got as a child, or holiday presents, but I remember the things that we would do together. I remember the way things would smell or make me feel. And it was really interesting. A couple of years ago at my family gathering with my whole extended family, we shared a few top memories of when we were children. And what was so interesting is my brother and I, we didn't tell each other. And we had both shared the exact same memory. He hadn't heard me share mine, and when he shared his, and it was driving home on Christmas Eve from my grandparents. And he said the way that it smelled, the wood smoke, and the car would be warm and cozy, and my parents would be listening to classical Christmas music on the radio. And I mean, those are 40, 50 years later, these memories that come, and they're the memories of family, the memories of warmth. Music is so important, celebrating that, just honoring that in our families.
I think it's a time for music, it's a time for singing together. If you're able to do Christmas carols in your neighborhood, in your community, it's a time to, I just think really like hold dear, what is dear, what is close, because as the days are getting shorter, it's like I feel it in myself, a little bit of a hibernation, a little bit of sleeping more, really kind of sleeping in and really trying to take this time to be inside. I actually got sick about a week ago, and that was kind of like Sheila, I'm making you slow down. I'm making you, just be in bed and just be. And it was when I stopped fighting it that I just was able to heal, and get myself back on track, because it's the time of the year. And as we spend time with our families, what do we do with our families? And I know we have an exhaustive list of games and both indoor and outdoor games to do, but this is a great time as for gift ideas as well, is giving card games and board games and stuff like that. I mean, in our family right now, we've been doing a poker tournament. And so we have been doing a lot of poker, and it's the 10-year-old who's actually cleaning house a little bit. So it's really, whatever game that is. We love Quiddler. We love Five Crowns. We love Boggle. That's an older game that we love, Boggle. I mean, just fun games like that.
I'm laughing, the card games. We've been doing Crazy Eights. Obviously it depends on the stages of our children. The grandchildren now is 6 and younger, or 7 and younger. And, you've got teenagers in your household. And so it's fun to see what the games are. My husband and I, backgammon still, and he's the backgammon champ, but we still do that. And so this idea of board games, time together, cooking, roasting and cracking nuts, these old fashioned things. And sometimes people tease me about being a little bit old fashioned, but the reality is things that have withstood the test of time are classic for a reason, whether it's the literature, the games, the recipes, the the traditions. And so we want to honor the traditions, and each family is going to be different. And so, and I know a lot of people that are going to be listening to this are busy working parents, and it's trying to find the time for all of this. And you can pick and choose. You can decide what are the things that are the most meaningful for your family. And right now, we're slowing down a little bit in terms of our schedule. And so we've been doing lots and lots of things. We, walking out to gather and cut down the Christmas tree, and the decorating and the baking and the games and all of those things. When the kids were younger and we were both working, it would be picking the few things that were really important, and the kids themselves will let you know. And so paying attention to what they're asking for, did that gingerbread mold get out to make the gingerbread house? They'll ask about that. Did the Swedish elf come every night? In our family, we have this tradition where a Swedish elf comes, and it's kind of like a little advent calendar that marks the days up till the holidays. And so listening to our children, I remember they heard about St. Nicholas at one point. One of their friends celebrated that. They're like, if we put our shoes out, will St. Nicholas come? And so, just trying to live into some of that wonder and that sense of awe that children have around this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's just looking at this, slowing down and taking time to look through it through the eyes of a child, and just bringing the magic, and sometimes I think we have to prioritize what is important. And it's a time of coming together with your partner, or if you're on your own, and come together. And what do you value? What are the traditions that you liked from your childhood that you can bring to your next generation? You don't have to bring everything, but that's up to you. That's the beauty. It's just, I really love this time of year because I've really been able to shift it from the consumerism, the stress. I don't feel stress. I don't feel rushed. I just am like, we're just going with the flow. And, I'm making food for this classroom and bringing food for this class. It's all part of it. And it's just really, I think, the importance of family is where it's at, is really taking time to be with your family and to enjoy the little things.
I'm so glad that you kind of wrapped it up in that way, because it is so important. And your children will not remember all of those specifics. They'll remember the feeling. I mean, there's that wonderful Maya Angelou quote about, they won't remember what you said. They'll remember how you made them feel. And I think that this holiday season, that's what that's about, is just trying to create that sense of warmth and community and love and joy, like we started with a quote. And also try to let go of those things that aren't so important. And so it's really exciting to be able to come to you at this time of year and to talk specifically about those things. We're looking forward to sharing some really exciting things that we're working on coming up in the new year, but we're just going to leave you with just that hint of there's lots to come. So with that, happy holidays to all of you.
Happy holidays. And we will be seeing you with it, if not before the new year, we're so excited about what's coming up. So within the next few weeks, you'll be hearing a lot of new things from Maria and I. So take care.
Happy holidays. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today for The Moms I Know. To learn more about Sheila and her online program, The Mom Map, visit purplebeetnutrition.com. For Maria's monthly blog and to learn more about her group programs and retreats, visit soquelessentials.com. That's SOQUEL essentials.com. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Moms I Know. Until next week, have a joyful family journey.